Chapter 501, Filming Without Permission. At lunch break, Tang Xiu left to eat at the cafeteria. However, his expression changed just as he stepped out of the consultation room, since not only were there 2 security guards at the entrance to the room but also 4 police officers maintaining order in the corridor. Do we need to be this exaggerating? Tang Xiu glanced at Dai Shenyue, smilingly touching his nose. There was actually some peculiar circumstances in the morning, master, said Dai Shenyue. It's kind of the last resort employed by the President and Chief Deng of Municipal Public Security Bureau. Peculiar circumstances? What exactly happened? Asked Tang Xiu with a strange expression. There were a lot of reporters at the hospital entrance in the morning, said Dai Shenyue with a forced smile. Even people from city TV station and provincial TV station came. As far as I know, there were dozens of reporters wanting to interview you, and squeezed inside. Finally, the security guards and the police force stopped them, hence causing conflicts between the 2 parties. After the president learned about the incident, he and Chief Deng personally came to drive them out, even issuing a strict order that they are not allowed to step into the hospital. Reporters? Tang Xiu frowned. Do they have nothing else to do? Why would they want to interview me, anyway? Master, your fame is very hot as of now. I heard that an anchor of a live broadcast channel came to our hospital, and she broadcasted a live about you and the sea of people in our Chinese medical hospital through her live broadcast channel. Therefore, all major media networks have received this news from yesterday. The captured footage has even been shared to many forums and social media such as WeChat and Put simply, you're very hot now, a headline. Is that true, Shenyue? Asked Tang Xiu hurriedly. I have never liked being exposed, and if it's true, maybe I'll become the focus of attention and be followed wherever I go. Dai Shenyue stretched out her fingers, saying, Master, I swear that everything I said is true. You can browse the internet if you don't believe me. Many websites put you in the headlines, reporting you as a miracle-working doctor. Tang Xiu quickly took out his mobile phone. After searching and browsing it on the internet, he could only let out a forced smile. He never dreamed that things would escalate to this situation. Suddenly, his expression slightly changed, and he quickly said, Shenyue, go grab a bite in the cafeteria. I need to make a phone call, and then I'll go straight to you afterward. All right, master. I'll help you order a meal, Dai Shenyue replied with a nod. Half a minute later, Tang Xiu left the corridor and dialed the old Tang family head in a remote corner. Xiu. Why did you suddenly remember to call me? Tang Guoxing's tone seemed very happy for receiving Tang Xiu's phone call. I just encountered a small problem, Grandpa, said Tang Xiu. I've been in the Star City Chinese medical service providing medical services, and someone dragged me into the news. I became many media's headlines because of many people coming here to get treated by me. If my identity is exposed, the Yao family will probably obtain the news as well. By then, they should be able to guess that curing your asthma wouldn't be a problem given my medical skills. Furthermore, they should also be able to figure out that my father's recovery from his vegetative state was my masterpiece. Tang Guoxing was silent before he slowly said, You really are Tang Guoxing's grandson with that meticulous and careful brain of yours. Anyhow, I've already caught the news about you rendering medical services at Star City Chinese Medical Hospital before you called me. But I didn't expect that such a situation would unfold, though. It seems that I will no longer able to conceal my recovery. Then, what are you gonna do? Asked Tang Xiu. A change in our strategy, said Tang Guoxing. Prior to this, the Tang family employed the strategy to develop our force in secret. Since it will no longer work, I'll announce that I've recovered from my illness, and will develop and exhibit the Tang family without concealing it. It's been more than 20 years that our family has been constantly under suppression with a lot of people eyeing on us, while waiting for me to return to the West Paradise. Now we should give them some shocks. For us, the Tang family, to go straight onto the stage after having been developing ourselves in secret all this while, I'm afraid it will be very difficult. Those hostile forces surely will not sit idly by seeing whatever the Tang family does to develop itself, said Tang Xiu. Tang Guisheng fell into silence again, and slowly said, Xiu, I want to ask you one thing. Please, do ask. Said Tang Xiu. If I amassed our entire funds, can you train a powerful force without being noticed by anyone? Asked Tang Guisheng. I need to know the exact amount first, said Tang Xiu. Tang Guisheng thought for a moment, and said, 50 billion. It's the maximum amount the Tang family can mobilize without garnering attention. More than that will be difficult, I'm afraid. Give me 4 years. I can use the money to train a group of outstanding talents, as well as cultivate a batch of highly skilled experts, said Tang Xiu. Moreover, I can invest it and double the amount. Great, then come back in a few days. Let's have a chat then, said Tang Guisheng loudly. I'll leave for Beijing on the 5th, then, replied Tang Xiu. After hanging up the phone, there was a sliver of excitement in Tang Xiu's eyes. Though he was not short on funds, being able to obtain 50 billion in a short time would be enough for him to do a lot of things. He may have no other skills, but using money to produce more funds was his strong point. Furthermore, cultivating talents and skilled people would require an enormous amount of funds, and funding was the most fundamental issue for he to go all out. Having finished his cigarette, Tang Xiu went to the cafeteria. Have you been good, Divine Dr. Tang? You are here for lunch too, Divine Dr. Tang. You really are so dedicated, Divine Dr. Tang. I didn't see you eat lunch yesterday. It has been laborious for you, Dr. Tang. Many doctors came greet Tang Xiu one after another. Tang Xiu didn't know these people, yet he greeted them back one by one, for the common saying told that no sane people would beat others who gave them smiling faces. After greeting all of them, Tang Xiu then went toward Dai Xinyue's place. Master, I have already ordered your meal. Also, President Li originally wanted to order special servings for you, but I didn't agree considering your disposition. You wouldn't blame me for that, would you? Dai Xinyue got up and smilingly said. Anything will do, said Tang Xiu as he waved his hand. At this time, a figure came to Tang Xiu's side. It was Sun Wenjing, who took her lunch plate as she took a seat next to Dai Xinyue and smilingly said, Divine Dr. Tang, have you been good all this time? Tang Xiu looked up to her and smilingly replied. Hello, too. Have your mother's condition been good? With a grateful expression, Sun Wenjing said, My mother is very healthy now, and she has always wanted to thank you, Dr. Tang. If it weren't for you, perhaps. Healing the wounded and rescuing the dying are a doctor's duty, said Tang Xiu while shaking his head. I may not be a pure doctor, but since I've promised President Li to provide my medical services at the Chinese medical hospital, I was just doing my duty. Sun Wenjing nodded. There was a bit of envy in her eyes when she looked at Dai Xinyue. She then talked to Tang Xiu, Dr. Tang, my mother is always talking about you. If you have some free time, I hope you can visit us. Let us talk about that again later, shall we? Tang Xiu let out a faint smile and began eating his lunch. After having lunch, Tang Xiu returned to the consultation room, yet the scene inside the spacious room made him stare blankly. There was a new table moved to the room with a large number of pennants placed on it. Judging the number with his eyes, it should be more than 200. Divine Dr. Tang, these were sent to you from the patients. My senior brother told us to put the pennants here, said Chu Guoxiong with a smile. President Li really doesn't understand me well, it seems, said Tang Xiu and couldn't help chuckle. Placing these brocade flags here doesn't have any significance at all. Besides, many of the patients come from poor households, and making these brocade flags would be a burden for them. So, let's just forget it. Anyhow, I recall that the hospital has once set up a relief fund to help those poor patients, right? Then I'll donate 1 million yuan later and let the hospital manage and arrange it to help those patients whose family conditions are difficult. Giving him a thumbs up, Chu Guoxiong praised, I think your benevolence and compassionate heart, as well as your magical medical skills, have become a gospel for countless families, Dr. Tang. In light of this, I'll also donate 1 million yuan to express my own intention and respect. The disciples of the sage doctor really are kind-hearted, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Master has a motto that virtues are everywhere along the journey, and helping patients is the duty of us, doctors, to begin with, said Chu Guoxiong with a smile. Prior to this, I cared a lot about that underserved fame and reputation. But ever since I met you, my master reprimanded me, awakening me all of a sudden. I learned a lot and finally realized that not only must a doctor possess skillful and powerful medical skills, but he or she must also have two important traits, medical ethics and professionalism. A smile outlined on the corner of Tang Xiu's mouth as he said, the more I listen to you, the more I'd like to pay tribute to your respected master, Gui Jianzhou. I would be glad of having a chance to visit him later. I'm very sure my master will be very happy to meet you, said Chu Guoxiong hastily. While the two men were talking in the consultation room, they didn't notice that Tian Xiaoming was leaning on the door outside the room with her mobile phone's camera aimed at them. Hence, everything they said had all been broadcasted on her live channel. As a result, her live channel simply exploded with comments. Numerous followers were emotionally touched and unceasingly threw praises to the two men. Many even hit the reward and donation buttons. In just a few minutes, the total number and amount of rewards already equaled to what she obtained yesterday. Everyone, all the donations today will be going to the Star City Chinese Medical Hospital's Relief Fund. In the hope that it can help more patients with difficult circumstances, Tian Xiaoming quickly stepped back. She directed the camera at herself and spoke in a low voice. Her speech immediately drew a stream of appreciations and praises yet again. Some followers even captured the last minutes of the footage and the praising commentaries and then shared it everywhere. Unknown to these followers, the video they intercepted and edited would then cause a big sensation in the country and the world as a whole. Chapter 502, The Real Doctors. The conversation between Tang Xiu and Chu Guoxiong as well as Tian Xiaoming's remark were quickly reproduced by many people, and presented on many major medias. The number of impressions, clicks, and shares increased at astonishing speed. Tang Xiu became hot news, and so did Chu Guoxiong. Even Tian Xiaoming, who was but only a small player broadcaster, was also caught in the limelight. The degree of sensation and fame was far bigger than those famous internet celebrities. Numerous coverages and reports spread out, praises of countless people, filling comment boxes, and appearing in all sorts of social media platforms and chat applications. Numerous patients and their family members began preparing their baggage, despite half believing and half doubting the news, yet bringing hope and expectation as they went to Star City Chinese Medical Hospital to see them. At the same time, a large number of benevolent people and institutions throughout the country also contacted Star City Chinese Medical Hospital, ready to donate money to the relief fund set up by the hospital. At Star City Chinese Medical Hospital. Inside his spacious and brightly lit president's office, Li Hongji held a cup of hot tea in a relaxed manner, while savoring the scent brought by the curling steam from the tea. In just these 2 days, the reputation of the Star City Chinese Medical Hospital has been constantly improving, which made him very excited. Although he would soon retire, it could be considered as giving himself a respectable face for being the president for so many years in the hospital. The door of the office was forced open, and Vice President Chen Xinlin strode inside, speaking with a smiling face, "President, something major has just happened." Li Hongji slightly creased his brows. Had it been before, he'd have scolded Chen Xinlin for daring to rush in without knocking first, but he was now in a good mood, hence he didn't do so. Hearing this, he straightened his waist and asked in a relaxed manner, "What major event?" "I received dozens of calls in the last half an hour. There are many benevolent people and public figures who want to donate money to the relief fund set up by our hospital. Do you know how much money we received after I announced our hospital's relief fund account to the public? Said Chen Xinlin. Stunned, Li Hongji asked in disbelief, donations? Why do they want to donate? And what did you say again? How much have we received, exactly? President, we have received almost 300,000 yuan to our public relief fund, which is the data I got before I came here. There are a total of 407 remittances from all corners of the country and the globe. Additionally, among those who called me, there were 6 company groups and 2 charity organizations that are preparing to donate as well. As for why they're doing that, please have a look at the headlines of the major medias on the internet. You will understand after you see it, said Chen Xinlin. Although he was quite shocked that 407 donations came within just half an hour, Li Hongji was still able to react quickly. He turned on his mobile and, after browsing and reading some websites' homepages, disbelief painted his old face. This video. Looking excited and nodding repeatedly, Chen Xinlin said, "Yeah, that's right. It's because of this video. It is said that a live broadcaster secretly came to our Star City Chinese medical hospital and secretly took footage at the door of Dr. Tang's consultation room. Inside were Divine Dr. Tang and Dr. Chu Guoxiong currently engaged in conversation, and it was exactly its content that has caused such a huge sensation. If you look at it, you can see that the number of the threads and posts as well as the number of commentaries on them. There's so many that it's unbelievable." Li Hongji kept browsing and reading for 10 minutes. He couldn't stay calm. He felt excited as well as joyful, for he knew perfectly well what significance this video could have to Star City Chinese Medical Hospital. It meant that his hospital would become a famous existence throughout the country. What was the most important thing for a hospital? Wasn't it all about fame and reputation? Only when a hospital had a reputation could it be approved and recognized by the public, hence leading to the visits of a large number of people seeking medical treatment. And as the president of Star City Chinese Medical Hospital himself, it was the highest honor for him to make the hospital under his jurisdiction have such a big reputation. Great, great, it's really great. Joy and excitement covered Li Hongji's face as he tightly gripped his right fist. President, looking at the current trend, our hospital can expect to receive a lot of funds, said Chen Xinlin as he smilingly said. Anyways, what should we do next? Shall we do it like we have announced and that we'll publish the usage of the relief fund openly and transparently? The smile on Li Hongji's face gradually faded away. Common saying said that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. With so many benevolent and caring people donating to Star City Chinese Medical Hospital, he must use every penny very carefully, efficiently, and straightly on target. Little Chen, you've been managing the financial affairs of our hospital all this while, and I trust you in this aspect very much. Hence, every penny we receive from the hospital's relief fund must be disclosed to the public, meaning that all the cash flow, from where the money comes and to whom it'll be given, must be transparently open to the public. I will make things clear to you. If any problems were occur, don't blame me if I take harsh and strict measures. After all, the reputation of our Star City Chinese Medical Hospital is at the stake here. President, I know what to do, said Chen Xinlin seriously with a nod. Anyway, you are to look for several computer experts to create the funds-related section on the official website of Star City Chinese Medical Hospital. The changes in the fund must be daily updated, and the name of each donor and their phone numbers must also be announced publicly. If the donations are under anonymous names, it must also be displayed in the updated form. Every sum of money that is used must be timely updated in the section. Thus you must assign some key personnel from the financial department. You all will be responsible for managing this. But President, isn't doing this a bit? Chen Xinlin hesitated. Li Hongji shook his head. I understand what you mean. You want to say that we are taking major issues lightly, don't you? It's definitely far from that. As a matter of fact, I had already thought about doing this about 10 years ago. However, our Star City Medical Hospital had no money back then, so I could only put this idea to the back of my mind. But now is different, our hospital has the fame and reputation, so that we can ask donation money. If we can manage this well, then in the future I'm sure we can have steady donations to our relief fund account. Hence we can use the money and be able to help a lot of patients with difficult financial circumstances. Since you've said so, then I'll do it as ordered, President, said Chen Xinlin with a nod. At most, in 1 week, I'll have the section done on our Star City Chinese Medical Hospital official website. We'll show the people all over the country and the whole world clearly about the state of our relief fund. Remember that I'm the one who's giving you the right to do so. Whoever dares to touch this, report them to me and I'll cut them off. I'll take whole responsibility regardless of whatever consequences I may face, said Li Hongji with a heavy nod. Affirmative. Chen Xinlin's eyes lit up and he immediately turned to leave. Li Hongji returned to his chair and replayed the video. A warm current surged inside his heart as he listened to the dialogue between Tang Xiu and his junior brother, Chu Guoxiong. He felt grateful to Tang Xiu. Ever since he met Tang Xiu, despite the youth himself being unwilling to immerse himself too much in the medical field, yet Li Hongji could feel that Tang Xiu had a pure heart. He had never seen such a young man in his entire life. Inside the Chinese medical hospital's consultation room, 3 Chinese medical doctors, Tang Xiu, Chu Guoxiong, and the old man who were unceasingly receiving patients, diagnosing, and treating them. With the 3 of them cooperating, the pace sped up a lot. Close to half in the afternoon, a middle-aged woman stepped into the room. Whereas Tian Xiaoming looked like an elementary student who made a mistake when she came in. Her eyes lit up as she immediately said, "Mom, you've finally come. I'll make the introductions, this is Divine Dr. Tang." Zhao Qin gently nodded at Tang Xiu and said, "I know. I've seen the video of Divine Dr. Tang. Xiaoming, you did the right thing. A good person such as Divine Dr. Tang must be publicized. His abilities and ethics, the people must know." A happy and proud look immediately appeared on Tian Xiaoming's face after hearing this. Yet, Tang Xiu could only bitterly smile inside. He gave Tian Xiaoming an unpleasant look after finding out that she was the internet broadcaster. He reproached and punished her to stand motionlessly at the side and honestly wait there after he learned that she didn't stand in the queue, but cut the line and came to the consultation room ahead of time. But now he couldn't vent out his depression in front of Tian Xiaoming's mother. "Please take a seat," said Tang Xiu. After Zhao Qin took a seat in front of the doctor's table, she said, "Dr. Tang, please don't be angry at my daughter for not lining up according to our number. She has been a kind girl since childhood, and she wants to publicize your deeds and what you've done, hoping that more patients know that Star City Chinese Medical Hospital has a divine doctor such as you, as well as wanting to convey to everyone about the gospel. I hope you can forgive her if her actions have brought trouble to you. It's all right. She has already done it, so let the bygones be bygones. Besides, I'm only rendering medical services at the Star City Chinese Medical Hospital for 3 days. But, Tian Xiaoming, no more broadcasts, got it?" Tian Xiaoming looked vacant and dazed. She immediately squeezed out an embarrassed smile and put her mobile phone back. She then let out an awkward smile and said, "Divine Dr. Tang, please don't blame me. It's a habit from my job. It's because my occupational disease that caused all the troubles, honestly. Anyhow, since you don't want me to do a live broadcast here, then I shall obey your wishes." Nodding in satisfaction to her, Tang Xiu then looked at Zhao Qin and asked, "Elder sis, what is your illness? Have you had a checkup before?" "I was examined before, yet there was no result," said Zhao Qin with a nod. "I just feel that my chest is always in pain. It seems like a problem with my heart, yet it doesn't seem to be it either." Tang Xiu began to check Zhao Qin's pulse and at the same time asked her a question, "What kind of examinations did you do before?" Zhao Qin said, I had an ECG and CDU, and also a routine blood test. All of them showed that everything is normal. But the pain intermittently strikes at regular intervals inside my chest. Oh, there were also occasions that the pain struck like it came from my heart, especially when I was sleeping on the side of my body. 1. Tang Xiu calmly sensed Zhao Qin's pulse and the condition of her body. He found that her body had deficiency in qi and blood. He then used his spiritual sense to observe the internal condition of her body, and finally obtained the result. Chapter 503, Shocking the Sage Doctor's Disciple. Nerve pain is easy to solve. However, your body seems to be in deficiency of qi and blood, and you've also contracted a gynecological disease. You need to take a few Chinese herbal medicines to treat them. Please follow me to the examination bed over there. I'll perform acupuncture on you to treat your neuralgia problem. With lit-up eyes, Zhao Qin immediately replied with excitement, Great, that's great. Thank you, Divine Dr. Tang, you're really amazing. Faintly smiling at her in response, Tang Xiu then used an acupuncture method to treat Zhao Qin. Following that, he wrote her a prescription and then looked at Tian Xiaoming, saying, Young girl, do remember to tell the other party clearly in advance and respect their wishes if you want to broadcast something on the internet, especially if you involve someone else's privacy. Otherwise, your behavior will cause trouble for others. Smacking her mouth, Tian Xiaoming then gently nodded, I'm really sorry, Divine Dr. Tang. I hope you can forgive me if my good intentions brought trouble to you. Please rest assured, I'll definitely correct myself. I will ask the involved party before having a live broadcast about them, and I won't do it without their permission, nor will I expose their privacy under any circumstances. Seeing her decent attitude, Tang Xiu nodded and said, All right, then. Accompany your mother to get the medicine. Do remember, she must take the medication once every morning and evening. Okay, will do. Tian Xiaoming nodded. At another examination table, in the next compartment, Chu Guoxiong's gaze withdrew from Zhao Qin and daughter, as he asked Tang Xiu, How were you able to diagnose that patient's pain in chest was caused by nerves, Divine Dr. Tang? I have my own ways, and it's something that you can't learn, said Tang Xiu. Chu Guoxiong stared blankly, and then immediately forced out a wry smile. He didn't know what to say to that. The treatments continued. Along with the passing of time, night finally came, and all the patients who got their queue numbers today had been treated. However, the number of following patients didn't decrease, it increased instead. Dr. Chu, Dr. Hu, the two of you please go home and take a rest. I still need to go to the inpatient department, we'll meet each other again tomorrow, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Old and aged as he was, Dr. Hu was already exhausted after working all day long, therefore he nodded, bidding farewell and taking his leave. However, Chu Guoxiong didn't leave. He looked at Tang Xiu instead and said, I'll go to the inpatient department with you. You have been busy all day long, aren't you tired, too? Asked Tang Xiu with a strange expression. I am, but I'd like to see how you treat people with leukemia. Chu Guoxiong seriously said. I know that the state of leukemia that patient contracted is very serious. Even if my master were to treat her, the probability of him being able to cure her would be less than 30%. You can't learn my treatment methods just the same, though, said Tang Xiu with a chuckle. Can she learn it? Chu Guoxiong turned his head to glance at Dai Xinyue. As of now, she won't be able to learn it yet, though it's quite understandable considering her shallow knowledge in Chinese medical science at present. It will take quite a long time for her to study the basic and foundation knowledge. When she has sufficient knowledge and ability in Chinese traditional medicine, I will naturally impart her more advanced treatment methods. It's quite unfortunate that you have already taken someone else as your master, though. Otherwise, I would have been able to impart them to you as well. A look of envy flashed inside Chu Guoxiong's eyes. Tang Xiu's mysterious and magical treatment methods were an eye-opener for him. Even if he only spent a day with Tang Xiu, his knowledge and comprehension in Chinese medical science had progressed a lot. Though you are very skillful and amazing, I'm very sure that my master is not worse than you, said Chu Guoxiong with a serious face while clenching his fists. There is no stronger in Chinese medical knowledge. The Chinese traditional medicine is a very broad and profound subject. The more you learn, the more you will find yourself lacking in it. Although the development of the medical field is getting faster and faster nowadays, yet bizarre and strange cases keep surfacing here and there. Hence, each and every doctor must persevere and constantly improve themselves. However, I myself don't have much time to study other subjects in the medical field though. Therefore, the matter of treating illnesses and saving patients will fall onto your shoulders, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Chu Guoxiong forced a smile. I really don't get you, divine Dr. Tang. With your achievements and attainments in the Chinese medical field, you will eventually stand at the apex of the medical field in the future and obtain both fame and fortune as long as you want to. Yet, why are you? Everyone pursue different things. That's all I can tell you, said Tang Xiu lightly with a smile. Then, what you are pursuing is, said Chu Guoxiong curiously. Even if I tell you, you won't be able to understand it, said Tang Xiu with a chuckle. Anyways, shall we take our leave? Since you want to accompany me to the inpatient department, let us not waste time. The earlier we treat the patients there, the faster we can go home and have a rest as well. At the inpatient department, the Tang Xiu, Chu Guoxiong, and Dai Xinyue went directly to the VIP wards arranged by the hospital. There was only one sickbed in the ward, and Gong Lekun's daughter was drowsily sitting on the bed. Divine Dr. Tang. Gong Lekun hurriedly got up and called out upon seeing Tang Xiu's arrival. Tang Xiu let out a faint smile and said, "Have you given her the medication this evening according to the prescription I gave you?"
Yeah.
She has already taken the medication, said Gong Lekun immediately. There was a look of joy on her face. Also, Bebe said that she felt warm and comfortable after taking it. I think her mental state is going for the better, too. Nodding to her in response, Tang Xiu then walked toward the bed. He lifted the quilt and said, "Please undress her. I will treat her with an acupuncture method. Xinyue, take the alcohol cotton and silver needles from the medicine box, and tell the nurse to prepare a pot of hot water. Do remember that the hot water must be boiled first." Dai Xinyue quickly complied and immediately took the alcohol cotton and silver needles. She then immediately ran outside. 2 minutes later, she came back and said, "Master, there is no hot water that has been boiled now. But I've already instructed the nurses to boil water. It should be ready in about 10 minutes. Tang Xiu nodded, and then used the alcohol cotton to sterilize the silver needles. He gently wiped the alcohol cotton on the girl's body, particularly on several important acupoints he would employ his acupuncture method onto. After having cleaned them up repeatedly and was about to begin the acupuncturing process, his mobile phone suddenly buzzed. Slightly creasing his brows, Tang Xiu took out his mobile phone and took a look at the display screen. It was an unfamiliar number. He originally intended to ignore the call, but eventually answered it after thinking for a moment. Tang Xiu speaking, "May I know who's calling?" A voice belonging to a middle-aged man came from the phone. "Hello, Divine Dr. Tang. I'm Wei Yan. We've met at Shanghai's Paradise Manor before." "I see. But why are you not here?" asked Tang Xiu. "Our family of 3 have, in fact, already arrived yesterday, Dr. Tang," said Wei Yang with a wry tone. "However, our turn to get a number hasn't come yet, though we have already lined up in the queue. I had no other choice left, so I went to look for Star City Chinese Medical Hospital's President Li to ask for your cell number. So, here I am." "Where are you now?" asked Tang Xiu. "I'm still lining up in the queue outside. As for my wife and son, they are in the inpatient department's ward," said Wei Yang hastily. "Go back to your ward and wait there. You don't have to wait in the line." I'll treat other patients first, and then we'll come over later. By the way, tell me the ward number, said Tang Xiu. It's VIP ward number 024, replied Wei Yang quickly. Got it. I'll come by later, said Tang Xiu immediately with a nod. After hanging up the phone, he began to apply the acupuncture treatment on the little girl. His very unusual needle techniques left the sage doctor-y disciple, Chu Guoxiong, in silent amazement. Along with more than a dozen silver needles piercing certain acupoints on the little girl's naked body, Tang Xiu quietly released his star force into her body. As a matter of fact, the characteristics of leukemia in the increase of white blood cells and the decrease of red blood cells was akin to blood poisoning to martial artists and cultivators. Hence, while stimulating the little girl's life force and qi, he also helped her by using his star force to force out the white blood cells. 3 minutes later, Tang Xiu took up a silver needle once again, and pierced 6 tiny holes around each acupoint where the needles were applied. The needle then fell down and blood came out from those tiny holes. Controlling his star force to hover around inside the girl's body, Tang Xiu made it so that his star force formed a web-like shape made up of star force, as he constantly forced out those white blood cells to flow out through the holes near each acupoint. Divine Dr. Tang, this. Gong Likun's complexion greatly changed. Her voice that was originally inside her throat instantly slipped out upon seeing blood coming out from the spots surrounding the acupoints, where the needles applied to her daughter's body. Tang Xiu shook his head. He disinfected the silver needles and put them back into the medicine box. Following that, he used his right thumb to begin hold down some of the girl's blood vessels and gently pressed it to move the blood inside, causing the blood that came out through the holes around the acupoints to increase. Uncle, it's very itchy. The little girl, who was cleverly staying motionless at first, began to sway from side to side along with the movements of Tang Xiu's fingers. However, her slightly pale face had turned somewhat rosy now. Endure it. You will feel better after a while, said Tang Xiu. Time flew by. Finally, 20 minutes later, the holes around the acupoints were no longer seeping out blood. But at this time, Tang Xiu quickly pulled out a dozen silver needles from the girl's body and began using a towel to clean her up. How is it, Divine Dr. Tang? Gong Likun, who was the most concerned and worried about the girl's condition, hurriedly asked. We need to continue with the acupuncture treatment tomorrow evening, said Tang Xiu. However, I have already forced out 30 to 40% of the white blood cells in her body. It should be completely removed tomorrow. What you said is true, Divine Dr. Tang? Gong Likun's eyes lit up as she excitedly asked. My daughter, 30 to 40% of the white blood cells in her body have been forced out? Yes, answered Tang Xiu. At the side, Chu Guoxiong slightly creased his brows and said, Dr. Tang, although I'm clueless about how you got rid of the white blood cells, there's something that makes me very puzzled. Why don't you continue the treatment to clear out more white blood cells? At least to clean up to the 70% mark? With a strange expression, Tang Xiu answered, the human body having white blood cells is a normal condition. If you were to force out 70% of white blood cells, then she will be killed by me directly. As for those white blood cells that had been forced out by me, those were all the cells that easily evolved and spread out. If it is to be calculated according to the type of normal white blood cells, I have already forced out 80% of her white blood cells already. This? Stunned and shocked, Chu Guoxian stared at Tang Xiu with disbelief. His mouth twitched a few times, yet he didn't say a single word. Chapter 504, Amazed and Shocked by the Celestial-like Man. Chu Guoxiong was extremely shocked and horrified. He realized that Tang Xiu seemed to have an unusually good understanding of the patient's condition. He could even know the number of white blood cells inside the patient's body without any examination instruments. The most unfathomable thing for him was that Tang Xiu not only knew the amount of the removed white blood cells, but also could easily distinguish the normal white blood cells and the ones that easily evolved and spread out. With this ability, wasn't he akin to a terrifying existence? On the other side, aside from a shocked expression on Dai Xinyue's beautiful face, there was also thick admiration and worship there. Leukemia was a nearly impossible case for the entire medical society, yet her master could easily treat it. This was definitely someone whose abilities were far beyond the existence of a divine doctor. One must note that if the existence of those who were touted as sage doctors or divine doctors were able to completely cure leukemia, this news would have probably been spread out already. If even the sage doctor's disciple was that shocked, it was evidently very difficult for his master, the renowned sage Dr. Gui Jianchou, to achieve such a feat. When Dai Xinyue recalled what her master just said, that she must first increase her knowledge in Chinese medical science, and only then would she be taught his special treatment methods, her heart almost leapt with joy. Without giving the slightest attention to the thoughts of Chu Guoxiong and Dai Xinyue, Tang Xiu continued wiping the blood on the little girl's body. After that, he turned to Gong Likun and said, "Please help her change clothes, and then let her rest. Also, remember to give her the medication tomorrow morning, and give her medicated diet to recuperate her body." Gong Likun nodded with joy and excitement on her face. "I'll definitely obey your instructions, Divine Dr. Tang." Faintly smiling at her in response, Tang Xiu then picked up his medicine box and turned around, saying, "Anyways, I have to go treat other patients, so I'll take my leave first. We'll meet again tomorrow night." "Okay. Thank you very much, Divine Dr. Tang," said Gong Likun with a grateful expression. After leaving the ward, most of the shocked expression on Chu Guoxiong had disappeared, as he then curiously asked, "Divine Dr. Tang, are you going to treat the patient in the next room? What is the patient's illness?" "Congenital heart disease," said Tang Xiu. Chu Guoxiong's pace came to a halt, and he stared at Tang Xiu with disbelief. After he gulped down his saliva, he hurriedly caught up and asked just as they were about to enter the next ward, "Divine Dr. Tang, tell me, can a congenital heart disease be completely cured?" "To be honest, I don't have 100% assurance if it is leukemia," said Tang Xiu with a smile. "But I'm 100% confident in treating congenital heart diseases." Chu Guoxiong's heartbeat hiked up. At the moment, the way he looked at Tang Xiu was akin to someone who got shocked and awed by a celestial being. One must know, congenital heart diseases were very troublesome cases to treat. Though there had been many cases of being cured, yet it was entirely because the patient's conditions were not acute. However, to think that a patient with the congenital heart disease was looking for treatment from Tang Xiu, that may be very thorny and troublesome. This kind of troublesome congenital heart disease that a lot of large hospitals, famous experts, and professors in cardiology are unable to do anything about. "What's the illness condition, Dr. Tang?" asked Chu Guoxiong despite hesitating. "Insufficient blood supply, internal perforation and, above all, the heart is too small and very difficult to grow bigger. It's not threatening the patient's life for the time being, but if the treatment continues to be delayed, in the future even if Huatua and Bianke were to come back to life again, they would also be helpless to treat it," said Tang Xiu. Hiss. Chu Guoxiong drew a cold breath after hearing this. He had encountered such a case before, and it was more than once or twice. If it were merely insufficient blood supply or internal organ perforation, it was actually treatable. Even some patients in the late stages of the illness could be healed gradually. However, if the heart was too small and was very difficult to grow bigger, it would be inexplicably related to the physical constitution of the patients, thus turning very difficult to treat. Inside the ward, Wei Yang and Gu Hui had been waiting eagerly inside. Upon seeing Tang Xiu's arrival, Wei Yan immediately showed a grateful expression and said with excitement on his whole face, "We can finally see you again, Divine Dr. Tang. Thank you for coming so late just to treat my son." "Thank you a lot. Please don't stand on the ceremony. I just recently took a doctor's office to provide medical service at the Star City Chinese Medical Hospital. It is my duty to treat illnesses and save patients, to begin with. Anyways, have you done everything I've requested of you?" Yes, said Wei Yan without hesitation. I've met the family of the deceased, gave them appropriate compensation, and have also donated a huge sum of money. I was thinking of waiting and considering some things first after my son goes through your treatment and gradually recovers, before deciding on what kind of charity entity to donate to. But... Tang Xiu slightly creased his brows, but what? But I don't need to consider it any further, it seems. Just today, I decided to donate most of my family's property to the Star City Chinese Medical Hospital's Relief Fund. Furthermore, after I make a fortune again in the future, I'm planning to go to the poor regions and donate my money there to help the poor children, building schools and providing them with a good learning environment, said Wei Yang. That's great. Philanthropic deeds will reward you with good karma, said Tang Xiu with a nod. Having said that, he put the medicine box next to the sick bed. He then took a silver needle from the inside and said, "Please undress him. I need to give him acupuncture treatment. Also, no one is allowed to disturb me during the treatment." All right. Wei Yang quickly complied and moved to act with his wife Gu Hui. After Wei Dongdong had been undressed, he made the little boy lie down on the sickbed according to Tang Xiu's instructions. Pooh. The silver needle pierced the body. Tang Xiu quickly controlled his star force and injected it into Wei Dongdong's body to gradually envelop his heart. Tang Xiu's body itself possessed an enormous life force, and was the very reason why he had 100% certainty that he would be able to fully cure Wei Dongdong. It was because the life force inside his body had a miraculous healing effect on the little boy's heart. His star force contained a huge life essence, and using it to nourish Wei Dongdong's heart would definitely have magical effects as well. As expected, after 10 minutes of injecting his star force, Wei Dongdong's heartbeat sped up and became more powerful intense. The visible hole in his heart was contracting and slowly becoming smaller. After a full hour, Tang Xiu stopped injecting his star force. He held Wei Dongdong's bare feet. After picking him up, his palms continued patting every part of his body and skeletal bones, as well as patting his face a dozen times, leaving his back and heart for last. Hiss. Wei Yan took a cold breath, looking frightened and worried. Chu Guoxiong was even more dumbfounded as his mouth twitched fiercely a few times. One must know that Wei Dongdong contracted a congenital heart disease. Even the hole in his heart was very easy to bleed, and it would be very fatal once his heart was struck with problems. Yet Tang Xiu actually slapped his back with his palm. How could it be called as treating the illness and saving the patients? It out-and-out murder, evidently. However, recalling Tang Xiu's instruction before that he must not be disturbed, they held their trust despite the concern and restlessness, and eventually endured it. After beating Wei Dongdong's back, Tang Xiu finally put him down and applied the silver needles on him again. However, the following injection of Star Force was very short and in a very small amount. After enveloping the little boy's heart with his Star Force, he immediately ceased his actions. It was actually impossible to treat this congenital heart disease with only one treatment. Now, however, it only needed to be treated once, for the follow-up would be handled by his Star Force that stayed inside the little boy's body. The Star Force would keep nourishing and repairing the boy's heart until it was thoroughly consumed. In time to come, Wei Dongdong's congenital heart disease may also be completely treated. All right, done. Tang Xiu took out the silver needles as a faint smile appeared on his face. Everything's okay, Dr. Tang? Asked Wei Yang with disbelief on his face.
Yeah.
Everything's good. However, you need to wait for about 2 months. 2 months later, take him to the hospital to have a checkup. Call me if there are any problems with him, or you can come to Shanghai University to look for me, said Tang Xiu with a nod. Great, great. Thank you very much, Divine Dr. Tang, said Wei Yang hastily. No need to thank me, said Tang Xiu as he waved his hand. Your actual actions have practically exchanged and saved your own son's life. However, I hope you can promise me one thing, though. What is your request? As long as I can do it, I will definitely accomplish it even if I have to go through a mountain of blades and fire, said Wei Yan hastily. No need to be that exaggerated, said Tang Xiu with a laugh. My request is very simple. You must absolutely keep the matter of me curing your son's congenital heart disease confidential. You cannot go to the previous hospital and see the previous doctor you had your son examined when you take him to be examined later. I don't want the matter of me being able to cure your son's congenital heart disease to be disclosed to the public. But why? Asked Wei Yang, confused. Isn't this a good deed? I'm afraid troublesome things will happen, answered Tang Xiu. Afraid of troublesome things? Wei Yang stared blankly. Although his heart was puzzled and confused, he still nodded heavily and repeatedly, giving Tang Xiu his promise. Chu Guoxiong, who was standing at the side, suddenly spoke, Dr. Tang, Can I check the child's pulse? Why? You don't believe me? Asked Tang Xiu with a laugh. Chu Guoxiong looked awkward. He immediately said, No, it's not that I don't believe you. It's just... I was just shocked after seeing your treatment methods, so I wanted to diagnose the physical condition of this child. Giving him a do-ahead gesture in response, Tang Xiu turned his head and spoke to Dai Xinyue, pack up everything and get ready to go home. Also, do remember to tell your family when you return and wait until October 8th to leave for Shanghai. Master, I've already told my family. My parents have given their consent and approval of me going with you to study medicine. They even asked me to invite you to have dinner with us, replied Dai Xinyue smilingly. I can only pass, since I have tons of things to do in this 11th holiday. Tang Xiu waved his hand. But we'll meet with each other if I have some free time later. Dai Xinyue nodded, all smiling. As for Chu Guoxiong, he was holding Wei Dongdong's wrist. After checking his pulse, he turned to Wei Yang and, wearing a strange expression on his face, asked, Mr. Wei, right? Are you sure that your son contracted a congenital heart disease? Chapter 505, Spending Money to Prolong His Own Life. Although Wei Yang didn't understand why Chu Guoxiong asked this question, he still honestly answered, yes. My son's condition was discovered when he was born. If it wasn't for us taking care of him well and hired professional caregivers and nurses, I'm afraid he wouldn't have been alive till now. Chu Guoxiong turned his head to look at Tang Xiu, as he forced a wry smile and said, Divine Dr. Tang, Chu Guoxiong, just realized something. You're not a divine doctor at all, but simply a celestial being. I just diagnosed this boy and found that his heartbeat is strong. Though his vitality is rather weak, it doesn't seem like a situation that was caused by a congenital heart disease at all. You made a mistake in your diagnosis. The reason for him seemingly not have a congenital heart disease now is because of a special method I used to keep his heart at a high-speed recovery stage. If you examine him a few hours later, you'll probably be able to diagnose his true condition, said Tang Xiu. Stunned and looked vacant, Chu Guoxiong said, How could such a situation happen? Treating a congenital heart disease is very easy for me. But to completely cure it would require a process that allows the heart to heal and grow, which takes approximately 2 months. That's why I instructed him to take the boy to the hospital and have him examined 2 months later, said Tang Xiu. Chu Guoxiong was taken aback, as he gave Tang Xiu a thumbs up, yet he was unable to speak any words of praise for he didn't know what to say. He felt that any praising words would feel pale and weak. Upon hearing Tang Xiu's elaborate remarks, half of the worry inside Wei Yang's heart eased down. Seeking an affirmation, he asked, Divine Dr. Tang, do we still have to continue staying here? With a teasing tone, Tang Xiu answered, Are you so nervous and itchy that you want to waste and burn your money here? If anything, I've already treated your son, why would you still want to stay? You might as well go home and take care of your son well. This son of yours will be in good health 2 months later. So much so that, if your son's luck is quite good, His physical quality and constitution will be far beyond that of an ordinary person's. Exceedingly surpassing an ordinary person? It was a luxury and extravagant hope Wei Yang had never thought of. He only wanted his son to be healthy, that would already make him satisfied. After leaving the hospital, Tang Xiu gave Dai Xinyue a ride back home before returning to his home in Southgate Town. And, much to his surprise, his parents had not gone to sleep yet, and were chatting with a guest. "Elderly Li, why are you here?" asked Tang Xiu curiously. Nevertheless, there was also a strange expression on his face. Right after he entered the courtyard, he discovered dozens of unfamiliar and unknown men around the villa and 4 stalwart men in black suits standing in the courtyard. He never expected that Li Jiren from Hong Kong would personally come to Star City, more so appearing so late at his place. Li Jiren got up and smilingly said, "Tang Xiu, it was my intention to visit you, to be honest. Though I didn't expect to meet your honored parents here. Hence, we had some small talk while waiting for you to come back." Tang Xiu touched his nose and smilingly replied, "Why didn't you call me? You have my number, right? It ain't my fault. Who doesn't know that you're busy?" said Li Jiren with a smile. "Anyways, I had nothing else to do in recent days, so I just came here to discuss something with you." Tang Xiu nodded. Tang Yunda and Su Lingyun exchanged looks, as Tang Yunda immediately said with a smile, "Senior Li, please chat with Xiu. We are a bit tired and won't disturb you." Li Jiren nodded and smiled in response. After that, Tang Yunda looked at Tang Xiu and said, "Xiu, do entertain Senior Li well." "All right, father," replied Tang Xiu. As Tang Yunda and Su Lingyun returned to their room to rest, Tang Xiu and Li Jiren walked to the study room on the 2nd floor. After making fragrant tea, the 2 men then seated on the sofa. "Elderly Li, I'm sure you have something important for coming to Star City to find me, yes?" Tang Xiu took a half-pack of cigarette and offered one to Li Jiren. He himself also took one and lit it up, slowly taking a deep puff. Li Jiren, however, didn't lit up his cigarette. He fiddled with it for a short while before replying, "Tang Xiu, my purpose in coming this time is because I want to ask medicine from you." "Seeking medicine?" Tang Xiu stared vacantly and immediately asked with a strange expression, "What medicine do you need, exactly?" Li Jiren slowly said, "I was a coolie when I was young and had once fallen ill due to heavy workload. It caused a lingering effect and a chronic disease. Later on, my body was finally unable to hold much longer and I finally fell ill until I met Boss Gu. Although my body and health has recovered a lot after having gone through some training, yet my condition has never been as good as healthy people. Back then, Boss Gu gave me a medicine called marrow purifying pill. Since I took that medicine, the chronic old ailment that had been accumulated over the years was finally cured completely. My physique even turned much better than that of an average person's. However, I'm an old man now, so I was thinking, if I can get a marrow purifying pill again." After hearing Li Jiren's story up to there, Tang Xiu immediately understood his intention, as he nodded and said, "I'm indeed able to concoct marrow purifying pills. The medicine, however, requires a lot of medicinal herbs, and many of them are precious herbs." Upon hearing this, Li Jiren immediately gave his assurance, "Tang Xiu, as long as the medicinal herbs can be purchased, I'll obtain them no matter how precious they are." Tang Xiu couldn't help chuckling to himself.
Ah.
"I forgot who you are. Anyhow, I'll make a list of the medicinal herbs for you, and you can send people to purchase them. Just send them directly to me once you have bought all of them." His reply made Li Jiren overjoyed as he excitedly said, "No problem, no problem. Tang Xiu, I owe you a favor. If in the future. Please don't say you owe me a favor or something like that." Tang Xiu waved his hand and said, "It's not like I'm giving you the marrow purifying pills without you paying for it. It's because the number of medicinal herbs I'll ask you to find will be more than needed. Thus, we will mutually benefit from this exchange." Li Jiren stared blankly before he immediately nodded and smilingly said, "It doesn't matter. No matter how much you want, whether they would be 10 times, or 100 times, I will do everything possible to get them. The marrow purifying pill can prolong one's life, after all. I'm just spending money to prolong my own life. By the way, I have to tell you something. The marrow purifying pill does have a great effect on your body if you take it for the first time. But the effect won't be that great if you take it the second time. Do you mind if I check your pulse first?" said Tang Xiu. Through his network and intelligence, Li Jiren already knew that Tang Xiu was the young miracle-working doctor of Star City Chinese Medical Hospital. Therefore, he quickly got up and came toward Tang Xiu. After checking his pulse, Tang Xiu said, "Judging from your current physical condition, you still have 10 years of lifespan at the most. Taking the marrow purifying pill should give you 3 to 7 years more, though your body will be a lot stronger than that of people at the same age." With a blank expression, Li Jiren asked, "You can tell how long I can still live by only checking my pulse?" "I'm touted as the young divine doctor, mind you," replied Tang Xiu with a chuckle. Li Jiren fell into thoughts for a short while before he nodded repeatedly and said, "So be it then. Even if I can only live longer for 3 or 7 years more, spending a lot of money to buy those precious herbs is still worth the price. Tang Xiu, write the list of medicinal herbs. I will send people to begin searching them after I get back." The corner of Tang Xiu's mouth curled upward. The smile caused the corner of his eyes to stretch out, as he then said, "No hurry now. Please have your tea first. As a matter of fact, there is a better medicine to prolong your lifespan." Li Jiren abruptly got up with a speed that was unlikely achievable for an old man. His eyes fixated tightly on Tang Xiu, and his breathing turned rapid. He then asked, "Tang Xiu, what you mean is that there's a better medicine than the marrow purifying pill?" "Yup, at least it can prolong your life by more than a decade," answered Tang Xiu in a matter-of-fact manner. "What medicine is it?" asked Li Jiren again quickly. "Life essence pill," answered Tang Xiu. "Then I need this life essence pill. What medicinal herbs are required to refine it?" "As long as I'm able, I will do everything I can to find them no matter how great the price I must pay," said Li Jiren firmly. Tang Xiu stretched out his fingers and lightly said, 10 billion, plus 3 kinds of precious medicinal herbs. If you agree to pay me this amount and these medicinal herbs, I can hand over the life essence pill to you. Money is a small problem. Which 3 precious medicinal herbs do you need, exactly?" replied Li Jiren without hesitation. 1,000-years-old snow lotus, fleece flower root, and blood droplet seed, both of which being 500 years old or above, answered Tang Xiu. "I know about the millennium snow lotus and the half-millennium fleece flower root. But what exactly is this blood droplet seed? Why I haven't heard of it before?" asked Li Jiren with a confused expression. The blood droplet seed grows in an extremely cold place. Its appearance resembles a hawthorn with vines and leaves. The most important characteristic of it is that the place that gives birth to it and the soil where it grows had once been piled up with corpses and soaked by blood. "I'll give you a drawing about the appearance of the blood droplet seed later," said Tang Xiu. Li Jiren nodded repeatedly. "No matter how difficult it is, I'll try my best to get these 3 precious herbs you need." Tang Xiu smilingly said, "Then I give you 2 months. If you can't get them within 2 months, you must give it up, and I'll then give you the marrow purifying pill." "All right." Li Jiren rubbed and twisted his hands with a happy smile on his face. Money was nothing to him given his current status, as well as the vestige of years left for him. What he cared about was whether his body was healthy or not, and how long were the extra years added to his remaining lifespan. Half an hour afterward Li Jiren left Southgate town. A few minutes after he left, Tang Yunda came to Tang Xiu's room and asked with a curious look on his face, "Xiu, what did Li Jiren want?" "He's looking for a medicine to prolong his life," said Tang Xiu with a chuckle. "Huh?" Tang Yunda confused. Did he contract an illness?
Nah.
He isn't sick. Tang Xiu shook his head. He just wants to live longer. Tang Yunda forced a smile. It seems that even if one is very powerful and filthy rich, at the end of the day one cannot run away, and is afraid of death. So, what did you tell him? Don't tell me you have a solution for that? Tang Xiu chuckled. I do have a way around it. But the conditions are pretty darn hard and very difficult though. If he can find the medicinal herbs I need, I may be able to help him live for a few more years. But if he can't find it, I can do nothing about it. To think that even the famous Li Jiren would come to you and ask for help, you really are worthy as the son of Tang Yunda. Tang Yunda gave him a thumbs up and praised. Anyhow, this Li Jiren is an extremely rich bastard, son. You had better take this opportunity and make him bleed.